What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and joining me for another review of The Real Housewives of the OC, Season 6, Episode 6, Straight Questions and Straightish Answers. So let's start off with Noella. Noella has found her husband. She has been tracking him through the one credit card that she has access to, and he is in the Mykonos, which is, I think, an island off of the country of Greece in the Mediterranean. So she's able to track, where he's spending, where he's charging the card, and that's where he's at. So she found her man. He's in Mykonos. Heather, she meets up with Emily and Dr. Jen for like a spa day, and while they're in the sauna, Dr. Jen says that she does have to get back to her office soon and work on some more patients, and she says that she is the one that is supporting the family, so she's gonna have to get back to work. So one of the women asks her if she and her husband had this agreement that she would be the breadwinner and he would be the one to stay home when they first met, and Dr. Jen said that they didn't talk about it when they first met, but it was a conversation that they had when they got married. And then Dr. Jen proceeds to tell the women that when she got married to Ryan, her ex-boyfriend had sued her, and he was trying to claim that all the gifts he had given her during their relationship were actually loans. And Dr. Jen says that he was just trying to hurt me and trying to hurt my new relationship with Ryan. So that's really where that lawsuit came from. Emily asks her if she ever feels any kind of resentment that she is the main breadwinner, and Dr. Jen, she says she does feel resentment, but she really tries not to, and so she's working on that. And Emily can definitely relate, because she's the one, I don't know if she's the one that earns more or if she's the only one working, because during the time that Shane was studying for the bar, I never quite understood if Shane was actually working and studying for the bar, or if he had because he had been studying for the bar for years. So I don't know that whole time if he was working or not working, or what was his financial contribution to the home. Because it must have been a lot for Emily if he was not working, to be the breadwinner and to also take care of the household, because Shane was always holed up somewhere studying for the bar. So those must have been some pretty difficult years for Emily and Shane if it was all on Emily during that time. So, Emily says in her confessional that, as a married couple, you really have to put in the work. And she says that nobody dates 45-year-old women with kids in the OC. So you end up having to move. If you're single and you're over 40 with children, no one's going to want to date you in the OC. So I'm wondering if that's the reason why she sticks with Shane, because her relationship with Shane, it's really hard to tell if there's like real tension there, real issues there, or if this is just how they are and it works for them. Because Shane is always, he's always like in a bad mood and a sour. I don't know if he's in a bad mood or he's extremely condescending. He's very oh wow, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. But he's like, just, he doesn't seem like he's easy to live with and easy to get along with. Like, he's never normal. He's always saying something really smart. He's like a real smart aleck. I can't say what I want to say. He's like he's a real smart aleck. And, excuse me. And I just don't understand, because Emily seems like really normal, and she seems like she's really sweet, and she just wants to be happy. And it's like she can't do or say anything without him making some really smart, condescending remark to her. So I don't know if they're just that couple, like this is just how they get along and this is just how they are and they like it like that, or if there's like some real issues here. And she feels like, well, she can't really leave him, because who's going to want her in the OC if she's single, over 40, and she's got these kids? I don't know. So while they're in the sauna, Emily pulls out a sandwich and starts eating it. And Heather Dubrow is like, what the hell are you doing? We're supposed to be detoxing. And Emily's like, it's a turkey sandwich. So Heather proposes a trip to Cabo. She wants to invite the women to Cabo. Dr. Jen says that she also reached out to Noella and invited her for drinks, because her and Noella are having this stupid issue of Lord knows what, something about Instagram pictures. So Dr. Jen wants to squash the beef, and so she reached out to Noella. Heather brings up the rumors of what Noella has been saying about her, calling her fake, so on and so forth, and telling people that Heather can't be trusted. And Heather says that if she continues to pretend like she's not bothered by Noella, then she is being fake. She is being fake. So she's going to squash that real quickly. Shannon, she's in Nashville to see her mother. Her mother, and her 3 daughters are all going out to eat, and they're talking about divorce. And Shannon's parents, they divorced when she was 17, and Shannon herself got divorced from David when the girls were teenagers. And so Shannon talks about how she's repeating a pattern that she saw in her own parents, and she wants to break that pattern with her children, and she doesn't want her children to go through whatever she went through. Her oldest daughter, who I think her name is Sophie, her oldest daughter says that she really sees herself marrying her boyfriend Reese, and she's been dating Reese for like a couple of months, but already she's like, yeah, I can really see myself marrying him. And she says that her relationship is everything that she didn't experience as a child, and that really hurt Shannon when she heard Sophie say that. And then Sophie says something extremely revealing. She said that sometimes she feels like she's not worthy of a healthy relationship, that she doesn't deserve to be in a good, healthy relationship. And when she said that, that was really sad and heartbreaking to hear her say that, because and I'm pretty sure it has everything to do with watching her parents and maybe seeing that maybe her father did not really appreciate her mother or value her mother. And so that's kind of, she sees that as being reflected on her as well. And it's really sad. And it's crazy what people put their children through and think that, the kids are, they'll get through it as long as we're, I'm not advocating that people should stay together for the children or they should stay in unhappy or unhealthy marriages. I'm not advocating that at all, because I think it's a lose-lose situation. When you have children and you're going through a divorce, it's a lose-lose. There's no nothing. So, but at the same time, yes, the children want to see their parents happy. And if the parents are happier separated or divorced, then yes, they should be separated and they should be divorced. But to get to that point, there's a lot of heartache, there's a lot of pain, and there's nothing you can do. You have to go through the fire, to get to the other end. But in the meantime, children's lives are being forever changed. Their lives are being forever affected. And I just think that as parents, as adults, we have to do better. We have to really do better. And we have to be better humans, better people, put more work into our marriages, create a very happy and healthy environment for our children, and just be a better human being. If you can be a good human being and just try to do the right thing and be kind to others and be caring and be loving, then hopefully everything else will work out and you won't have to go through divorces and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? But we fall into our temptations, or we only think about our own happiness, and we feel like, eventually the kids are going to come around. As long as I'm happy and I'm getting what I want, eventually my kids are going to come around, and they will come around. And hopefully when they're adults, they'll see and they'll end up appreciating, what you went through and understand that it was better for y'all to be apart. But there's still going to be a lot of pain and heartache. Let me get off my soapbox. Okay, so moving on to Heather. So Heather invites Noella over, and when Noella arrives at Heather's mansion, Heather's in the middle of filming an infomercial. And she's filming it in the kitchen, I think. And so Noella comes in and she sees that Heather's in the middle of this infomercial, and Heather is kind of like, telling her basically like, sit down and don't disturb me. I'm busy right now. And in her confessional, Noella was like, okay, why would she invite me if she knew that she was going to be filming an infomercial? She did this completely on purpose because she wanted me to see her at work, and she was trying to impress me or whatever the hell. So when Heather is done with the infomercial, she takes Noella into her, I'm gonna say her office. There's like so many rooms to this mansion, I don't even know what to call them. I'm gonna say this was her, it was basically a shrine to Heather. It wasn't even an office, it was a shrine, because it was like decorated from top to bottom in just Heather memorabilia. Her magazine covers, articles are written about her, whatever. It was just all Heather, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. So Noella is sitting in there and she's looking around, and in her confessional she says that she says she had her suspicions about Heather being a narcissist, but this room definitely proves that she is definitely a narcissist. So they sit down and they start talking, and Heather says that Nicole had told me that you had called me fake or phony or something to that effect. And Noella brushes it off as, well, because of what I'm going through, I'm really angry at my husband. I'm not angry at you, Heather. And, I was just lashing out when I said those things. And, just disregard it. I didn't really mean it. I'm going through a lot. So then Heather says, well, then Gina also told me that you said that I wasn't to be trusted. Well, so what's up with that? And Noella said that she saw her friend Nicole. Nicole had changed based on a phone call that she had with Heather. So this is going back to lawsuit gate. And Noella was trying to say that, at first, her friend Nicole was one way, and then all of a sudden when this whole lawsuit situation came up, she had this conversation with Heather, and all of a sudden Nicole completely changed and refused to talk about the lawsuit. Just all of a sudden she just stopped talking about it. And so Noella is implying that Heather had somehow either threatened her, maybe with a legal action, like if she continues to talk about it, they were going to sue her. But something was said in that phone call between Nicole and Heather that automatically shut Nicole up. And Heather didn't like that. And so she was like, my friend completely changed. So I don't know what you said to her to make her change. And I guess this is what she's saying, is she's trying to justify why she had called Heather untrustworthy. And so Heather says, well, first of all, the lawsuit's got nothing to do with me, so I don't even know why you would even bring that up. And Heather says, if you're trying to be friends with me, if we're trying to work on a friendship, this is not a good way to start a friendship. And then Noella says, well, the start of our friendship was you slamming people against the walls and yelling at them in your home. And Heather's like, excuse me, I did not slam anybody against the wall. And so Heather was referring to, Noella was referring to Heather's no boo party, and where the whole lawsuit thing came up, and she was telling the camera crew to shut it down, get out of my house, we're not going to film anymore. So Noella said, well, somebody told me that at the no boo party, you and your husband, Terry, pushed someone against the wall when this whole story came out about the lawsuit. And Heather completely denies it. She's like, that did not happen. She actually laughed and thought it was funny. And she says, you know what? This is what I'm going to tell you, Noella. You have a lot going on, so I'm not going to take any of this personally, but I don't think that I'm the right friend for you. So because of what she's going through with her husband, Heather decided to show her some grace. But for what she was going through with her husband, I think Heather would have really unleashed the dragon on Noella. But she didn't. She controlled herself. She held it in because, she's trying to be sympathetic with whatever the hell Noella's going through. So I was a little bit disappointed, but Heather still kept it classy and cute. Moving on to the book party. So Max has released a book. She's a published author, and her parents wanted to celebrate her with this book party. Everybody showed up, including the little friend that Max met at the chakra store when she went to the chakra store with Heather. So it starts off really nice. Oh, and the title of her book is I'll Give It to You Straight-ish. So when Noella shows up, it's a very civil greeting between Noella and Heather. They give each other pecks on the cheek. But after that, Heather was like, I'm going to keep my distance. I'm going to be over here. She's going to be way over there. And hopefully our paths are not going to cross at this party. So that was, yeah. So then Nicole arrives with a purse that looks like one of those really big, chunky, early 1980s mobile phones. It didn't look like it was comfortable to hold at all. It looked really, really cool, I guess, but it just didn't look like, why would you want to carry something like that around all day? It didn't look comfortable to hold. Anyway, so Nicole is also avoiding Noella. So Shane is asking the women, okay, so who is not talking to who? What are the issues in this group? And Noella says, well, I have an issue with Nicole. And she says that she tried to invite Nicole out to lunch, but before she could even ask her, Nicole hung up the phone on her. And so we get to see a clip of that. And in her confessional, Noella says that if Nicole cannot be there for me when I'm going through, one of the most deepest, most painful moments of my life, then our friendship is actually over. And I'm sitting there looking at this, and in her confessional, she's like so serious and so somber, and she's like, well, if she can't be there for me in the darkest moment of my life, then this friendship is over. And I'm like, deepest, darkest moments of, girl, you married this man for money. He married you for your looks. He wanted to have a pretty wife on his arm. Stop with the deep sadness, the deep pain. I'm in so much. Girl, stop. Okay, you married for money, he married for looks, a very superficial marriage, a very typical marriage, in the parts where you come from. So, miss me with the dramatics. Okay, the rooster has come home to roost. Now the superficial foundation that your marriage was built on is falling apart, as it should, because I don't think y'all really loved each other. I'm surprised that you even had a child in this union, because like I said, I don't even think y'all really even loved each other. Y'all were just there for your own personal selfish reasons. But anyways, don't make this out into anything other than what it is. You married for money, he married for looks. Now y'all got tired of each other. Just move on. Noella, just move on. Stop with the dramatics in the falling apart of this marriage. Stop. So Noella and Dr. Jen, they've made amends. Okay, they've kissed and made up. That's wonderful. Ryan shows up at the party. He's completely dressed. Thank God. Then there's this whole discussion about his name. I guess his legal name is Ryan, but he changed it to Ryan and wants to be called Ryan. I don't get it. Shannon did not attend because she was sick. Noella tries to defend Shannon to MJen because I don't know why. She was like, oh, Shannon, she's so trustworthy. She's got such a good heart. Trying to say all these really glowing things about Shannon to Emily and Gina, and they're not buying it. They're not listening. They really don't care. So Emily and Noella are talking, and then Emily brings up Cabo, and Noella said that she wasn't invited. And Noella says, I just feel really blessed to even be here. What do you mean by that, Noella, that you feel blessed to be at Heather's party? Maybe because she feels some type of an affinity towards Max. So maybe that's why she was glad that the invitation was not taken away. Maybe that's what it is, because she wants to be there for Max. But other than that, like, why would you care if you were at the party or not? You don't like Heather. Heather doesn't like you. If she did disinvite you, you should have been relieved. So Heather gives a speech, and Max gives her a little speech, and everything is really cute. And then Emily gets drunk, and Shane gets annoyed. I don't even know if Shane gets annoyed. I feel like Shane was born annoyed, and that's just his status quo emotion, is just always acting like wherever he is, whoever's around him, like he just feels like this isn't worth my time. I don't know why I'm here. It's like no matter where he's, even when he's at home, he's just sort of like he feels like he should be doing something better. He could be doing something better. Shane is just really strange. And I don't see how anybody can live with him. He seems really annoying. So Emily is drunk. She's drunk out of her mind. And she's having a conversation with Dr. Jen. And she says to Dr. Jen that she had to pay for her own student loans. She had to pay for her own education with student loans. And she tells Dr. Jen, but you didn't have to do that. And Dr. Jen was like, no, I was on scholarship. And Emily's like, I thought you came from money. Why would you have to use scholarships if you came from money? And Dr. Jen was like, I was on scholarship. I went through school with my scholarships. I got through school with my scholarships. And then Emily's like, so your boyfriend didn't pay for your education? And Dr. Jen was like, no. And then Emily says, well, then what did you have to pay him back in that lawsuit? And Emily says, I paid him back whatever he asked for because I just wanted him out of my life and I wanted him just to go away. So Heather questions whether Dr. Jen was actually attracted to her boyfriend. And Emily's like, you were just with him for the money. Just admit it. You were there for the money. And Emily's like, no, I really was attracted to him. I thought he was a really interesting person. And so Noella decides to go home. So Emily's drunk out of her mind. So she's yelling out for Gina, and Gina's like, okay, Emily, we've had enough. We're going to be going home now. So people start leaving. Noella has also decided to leave, and she finds Heather, and she said something to Heather. I think she said, lovely to see you again, or something like that. And Heather literally looked at Noella like she didn't even know who she was. That's how dismissive Heather was with Noella. She literally looked at her like, and you are who? Who are you? Who are you? Didn't say one word to her. And then that's where the episode ended. Oh, and I think Emily had to go pee and she wanted Shane to go help her pee because she was drunk. So that's where the episode ended. Yeah. So, that was like a really interesting episode. It was a good episode. Whatever. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will definitely be talking to you later. Bye.